Are your knees on the mat? Are your knees off the mat? And I've seen a little bit of variety. There are different types of postures you can do with your body that'll have knees on or off the mat. With this particular one, I'd rather have the knees off the mat. A, because it makes me a little more mobile and I have the ability to shift my weight around a little bit more if I need, especially if the bottom guy's applying a lot of bucking type pressure and stuff. I'm not going to get thrown as easy. And B, it allows me to apply more weight to the bottom guy. I'm way heavier. If my knees are on the mat, then the mat is accepting some of my weight. If I take my knees off the mat, I can really put my weight down. On Brooks here, so this is okay. But when I lift my knees off the mat, I can apply a lot more weight and pressure. And the bottom guy will be able to feel it a little bit more solidly. So I think default in this particular one probably is knees off the mat. Put them down on the mat when you need, I think. And that works best. And as always in jiu-jitsu, there are a million exceptions to every rule. So if you have a reason for putting your knees on the mat and it works better, then go ahead and do that. Other questions about this particular spot?
I had a question.
Yeah.
I felt like I was totally locking down his hips, and so I was having a lot of trouble with his arm. You know, I felt like I was really far away to kill his arm using that posture.
Okay. So one of the weaknesses of locking the hip down hard is it makes it hard to lock down the upper body. So we'll address that when we get to the next step of locking down the upper body.
Okay.
We'll have to adjust our posture a little bit at that point to make it work, because we only have so much wingspan to work with, and I can't both be driving my shoulder into his hip and into his chin at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and you were experiencing that problem, which means you were locking down the hip well. Anything else right now? All right, let's look at the next one. So we're going to lock down his hip with our knee. And we want to be a little bit specific on that as well. So I'm blocking out with my hand here. I'm going to switch up with my knee. So I'm going to bring my knee in, and where I want my knee is in contact with his hip. So my knee should be touching his belt. Not on his thigh, not on his ribs or anything else. It's going to be touching his hip. And this is going to be a sensitivity-based exercise so that when Brooks starts to move a little bit, my knee's always going to be touching his hip. I'm not going to let any space develop there. That's what's really important if I'm blocking out the guard with my knee. So my knee is in contact on this side. There's nothing stopping him from moving as far as he wants in that direction. So he can shrimp out as far as he wants there, and I'm going to be chasing him all day long trying to close off the space. So let's fix that a little bit. My knee is going to block out on this side, and on the far side I'm going to take my elbow and drop it to the mat. Here. And so what I got now is I got his hip locked between my knee and my elbow. Now if you're in your weight class, your far elbow should be able to touch the mat. If you're not in your weight class, your elbow may not be able to touch the mat, but you're still going to lock the hip in with it. There. So now I'm creating a little bit of a hip lock between my knee and my elbow. And then this one is still here locking down the upper body. There. So if this arm is really loose and playful, I'm not locking down the hip on the other side. It's got to be clamped in tight. So that when his hip moves, I should feel it on both my elbow and my knee. There should never ever be any space on either side of his hip. There, I got it really locked down tight. Like that. So without this part, go ahead and move a little bit. Just locking down on his hip there, so it's locked down between my knee and elbow. And then I add this part on top to keep his upper body locked down. There. Like that. So my knee in contact with the hip at the belt line, my elbow on the belt line in contact with the hip. My hand just wrapping the body here. Like that. That's what I got, and that should help pull down with the knee a little better. I see people were having a little bit of trouble with that, and I think it was mainly the lock on the far side that was missing. All right, try that with your partner in intro stage a little bit, and then we'll come back to the